Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that you are well and are having a wonderful week. I can't believe it is May. This year is flying by, and I mean flying. There's a lot of milestones happening around me, including my daughter's 16th birthday. And these are all reminders that time is fleeting and that we need to make the absolute most of it. I don't know who said it originally, but I do know that what they said was time waits for no one. And we don't want to look up and say, where did all that time go? So instead, let's try to just be more conscious about where our time is going. Think about how you're currently making the most of your time or how you'd like to be spending your time. And this is something we'll circle back and chat more about another day. But just with everything that's going on, it came top of mind for me. Not to mention it's hot outside, so I'm thinking about summer now. And, my mind is just slowly starting to think more and more about what's to come later on in the year. If you wanted a little bit of context around how I got here, since I know I can be a little all over the place. But with that little ramble said, let's just hop on into the topic of the day. So I recently found myself thinking about creativity and the creative process in general, and how if you aren't disciplined, you can easily get off track, even if it's something that really lights you up, right? Like you get a spark and you want to execute on an idea, and you may even start working on it for a while. But let's face it, these great ideas may take a lot of cultivating and a lot of building and hours upon hours of work. And while it may seem that it should be fun and easy to just crank out whatever the art is or whatever the project is that you're working on, it can also be agonizing. Can we acknowledge that, right? Hence the term labor of love. Listen, no matter how inspired you are when you first realize an idea or start bringing it to life, there's almost always a time in the process, whether it's, writing or painting or working on a big project for work, purging and organizing your home. There's almost always a moment where you hit a wall. Maybe you have writer's block, or your painting wasn't coming together quite the way you imagined it, or you were purging and you get to that point, especially in purging, that it gets worse before it gets better. Who among us hasn't found themselves sitting in the middle of the floor with piles of stuff around them thinking like, why in the world did I ever even start this project? This is crazy. So when we hit those walls, it's not the inspiration that carries us through, it's the discipline. Discipline is what keeps the engine running even as we find ourselves idling at the stoplight. You may have thoughts like, why am I here? I don't want to do this anymore. Why did I ever think this was a good idea? And those thoughts, those doubts, they're enough to make you throw in the towel when that inspirational boost leaves you. But if you are able to stay disciplined and push through, you are coaxing your inspiration to return. So how do you stay disciplined when you're not inspired? I know a lot of us are out here wearing multiple hats, whether it's a 9-to-5 plus a side hustle, or solely a 9-to-5 that you once loved and were committed to, or perhaps you're an entrepreneur that's been experiencing some burnout or some doubt and you're weighing your options. Should I return to corporate or some other type of 9-to-5, or do I just keep thugging it out? It's question upon question when you're trying to find your way. But no matter what, we must remain disciplined so that we can re-engage our inspiration and never give up on the very thing we were inspired to pursue in the first place. Or maybe that discipline in the vein of inspiration helps us find our way to another path that clearly inspires us to move on. So what then are some ways that we can stay inspired or get re-inspired when our flame is dimming? I came across an article on Flypaper's website that highlights 7 tips for staying inspired when you're feeling off. And it references walking as a key way to get and stay inspired. In fact, the article cited a 2014 Stanford University study focused on walking and its relationship to creativity. And it found that participants increased their creative input by 60% after walking. And those were lasting results. They lasted well after the walk ended. Now, I would say that 60% is pretty great, right? Not to mention that you're getting a little exercise in addition to that creative energy that's flowing now. So I'm encouraging you to walk it out and be inspired, y'all. Now, I came across another article on the Psych Central website entitled How to Find What Inspires You in Life. And it stated what felt to me like the obvious, and that is to surround yourself with inspiring people. We know that energy is contagious. So be in the right places at the right times with the right people. And really, as much as possible, we should be engaging with the right types of people and crafting our inner circles to reflect that, right? The people that inspire us in different ways, those we can build with, those who will not only encourage us to find our inspiration, but also when they see us losing our zest and zeal around what inspires us, they will also make it their business to hold us accountable in finding our way back on track and to encourage us to ditch the distractions so that we can walk in our gifts. And if we are in the right circles, we should find ourselves doing this for one another all the time. Now, you know, the village and sisterhood talk is heavy around here. I'm always going to talk about it because the circle is not to be taken lightly. You know, what does your circle look like? It should be multifaceted and never only reflecting on who you once were. Like, it's great to have day ones, but you and your circle should be growing together. And sometimes that means shedding, and sometimes you're fortunate enough to hold on to those day ones. I know that I'm blessed to say that I've been able to do so. But your circle should be a circle of growth. Now, that was a bit of a rant, of course. So let me get back on track by just pointing out something else from the Psych Central article I wanted to mention, which is switching things up as a way to find what inspires you. Now, we know that there is a time and place for routine and habit, but if you've got that together, now might be a good time to switch it up and step out of what you know and what you are used to, because monotony can be an inspiration killer for sure. The mundane does not invite what's new and fresh into your life, right? You have to bring it in and break up the pattern. So come from up underneath that security blanket and see what the world has to offer outside of your norm. Even taking a more scenic route home from work can perk up your inspiration antennas. So do something different today. Now, when you find your inspiration waning, try some of these pick-me-ups to get back on track. And take a look at the full articles that I've shared in the show notes, because of course they offer more suggestions than what I've shared here. And once you've gotten your inspiration going again, make the most of it. Dig into what it is that you've been inspired to do. Hold on to this little inspiration guide and use it as a tool to stay inspired. But remember, one of the main practices for staying inspired is staying disciplined. Because sometimes we need that discipline to hold us down through those duller moments until everything starts to shine again. And I'm going to share a quote from Andre Leon Talley today. And he said, "I scorched the earth with my talent, and I let my light shine." Thanks so much for listening today. If what you have been hearing has been beneficial, don't forget to share, rate, review, and follow the pod, of course. And I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.